right, this is 4.1 from the 8th grade book, and we're going to be representing linear relationships using tables. So I'm going to look at the example one first, and this is on page 89. So we have the equation y equals 3x plus 2 gives the total charge, which is going to be our y, and bowling games. And they've picked x's for us. Sometimes we'll pick our own. The reason they pick positive numbers is because we're not going to have a negative number of games. Alright, so what we're going to do is we have this 3x plus 2. I'm going to write it kind of spaced out a little bit. You notice it's a little bit different format than what we've been doing. We've been doing that kx, y equals kx. We haven't really been dealing with this plus out here. We're going to be looking at problems with the plus now. It'll still make a lot more sense the further we get into this unit. Okay, so we're going to replace this x with our x value. So I'm going to replace this x with a 1. And I'm going to put parentheses because it was multiplication. 3 times 1 is 3 plus 2 is 5. I'm going to replace it with the 2 now. Three times 2 is 6 plus 2 is 8. Replace it with the 3. I like my creative 3 there so I don't have to erase. 3 times 3 is 9. 10, 11. Sorry, it's so much neater when I actually erase. And then I'm going to replace that with a 4. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 is 14. So all I did was replace this x with each of my given x's. It's a variable because it's going to constantly change. Alright, so that is the first example problem on the first page. Let's scroll down and look at the Francisco. Makes $12 per hour doing part-time work on Saturdays. He spends $4 on transportation to and from work. The equation is y equals 12x minus 4. So we're going to pick our x's. Now, number of hours. Number of hours is going to be positive, so I'm just going to start at 1 and do positive number of hours. And I'm not going to show as much work as I did on the first one, just because it's hard on a computer, but I'm going to plug them in. 12 times 1 is 12, minus 4 is 8. 2 times 12 is 24, minus 4 is 20. 3 times 12 is 36, minus 4 is 32. And 12 times 4 is 48, minus 4 is 44. So all we've done is plugged in x's into our equations. Alright, this is on the next page. It's page 90. And I've zoomed in. We can't see the problem, but that way you can really see the graph really well. And so we have this equation, y equals 2x plus 20. Okay, so this y equals 2x plus 20. And they gave us x, and this is number of tickets. And the reason we're not doing negative because you're not going to buy a negative number of tickets. So we kept it as positives. So we're going to plug in our 2. And again, I'm not going to show our work because we did this earlier. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 20 is 24. 2 times 4 is 8. Plus 20 is 28. 6 times 2 is 12, plus 20 is 32. And 8 times 2 is 16, plus 20 is 36. Again, I want you to get in the habit of looking for these constants. These are going up by 4s each time. These are going up by 2s. That's going to play a part later on in our lessons. So now it asks us to graph it. Is our next step. So remember, this is our x and this is our y. I actually make this a lot bigger point so it's easy. Alright, so I have 0, 20, so I'm going to go to 0 and I'm going to put a dot at 20. 224, put a dot. 428, 428. 632 and 836. And then I'm going to connect those points. Sorry, it's not a pretty line. Doing this with a mouse. As you can see, it asks us to describe the shape. Some things we talked about in class is that it's a straight line. Another thing is that it doesn't start at the origin. That's important because that means it's not a direct variation. Remember, direct variation goes through the origin. This is not a direct variation. It is a line, though. We do have a constant rise of 1, run of 2, rise 1, rise over run, rise over run. We have that constant stair step there. So those are all some things that you could say about it. It also asks us then to find the, we're going to find our slope here. And to do our slope, we're going to do rise. There's two ways to look at it. Rise over run. And this is, rise over run works on a graph. So we are rising 4 because it went from 20 to 24. So I have a rise of 4 and a run of 2. And so our slope is 2. Now I can't say my K is 2 because K is only for direct variation. Okay? Now to look at it from the table, I'm going to pick a different color for that. I'm going to pick 2 points. So I'm just going to pick 2 that are side by side. You can pick any that you want. And I'm going to look at my change in Y over my change in X. So I'm going to look at my Y's. It went from 28 to 24. So that is a change of 4. Went from 4 to 2, which is a change of 2. So to find the slope from a table, we use our change in Y over our change in X. If we're looking for slope on a graph, rise over run is the best way to do it. All right, page 91, we have a vocabulary word of linear equation. Notice the word line is in a linear equation. So we're going to be looking at lines here, and we are adding a new equation here of y equals mx plus b. Now before we've been looking at y equals kx. Now we're going to be looking at y equals that same start except for with the m. Oh, that should be an x, not a... Sorry. mx. We still have that same start of kx, but it's an mx. So for this time we're adding plus b. Or it could be subtract. It could be a minus b. So let's look. We have this equation. Y equals 2/5 x plus 10. They have made our table for us by plugging in our x into this equation. It's a little bit harder this time because we're dealing with 2/5 times 0 plus 10, 2/5 times 10 plus 10. And then we graphed it, and we can see that it is not proportional because it's not a direct variation. Remember, direct variation meant it was proportional and it went through the origin. So this is not proportional because it doesn't go through the origin. So let's look at the your turn. So for the your turn, we're going to plug in these points and get our y. So we're going to do -2 times -1, which is 2, plus 1 is 3. This is just like we did on the first page, except for I'm showing less work just to try to get through it and make this video a little bit shorter. -2 times 2 is -4, plus 1 is -3. Then I'm going to plot it. -1, 3, 0, 1, 1, -1, and 2, -3. I'm going to attempt to connect it somewhat in a straight line. So all we've done here is we made a table and we graphed those solutions. So there we go. We add arrows to it because we could keep on going either direction. This is not a direct variation. I'm going to just write dv if that's okay. It is not, because it does not go through the origin, meaning that it is not proportional, which we'll be looking at that a lot more in another lesson. Okay, so all we've really done in this section was being able to take an equation and make a table for it, and then being able to take that table and make it into a graph. All right, well, keep practicing some of these.